So, welcome to MindShifters Radio. Today is Thursday, February the 12th, 2026, and the day before Michael Ryce's Eternal Day. So, we don't have the kids tomorrow. I plan on taking him out tomorrow evening to celebrate his eternal times around the sun. Everybody's a little bit slow coming in today. So, welcome, Miss Susan.
Hello.
And Sally's coming in. Welcome. Hope you all are doing well today. Mr. Michael should be with us here in a minute. Aria had a half a day of school, so I had to run pick her up. And we just finished feeding them lunch. And so I got them playing while we do the show. Welcome, Andrea. And welcome, Michael. So I'll turn it over to you. Are you with us, Michael?
I am, yes. I had a little reorganizing to do with Lincoln having shared this space with me this morning. So welcome, everybody. Delighted that we get to play one more time. Appreciative of everyone who comes to play, and especially those who open their thoughts in their minds, push the mute button and say something. So say something. How's everybody doing? Anything exciting happening in your world? That was an awesome review of the tools from the Codependence to Interdependence communication practicum last night, Susan. And appreciation for the obvious effort and work that you put into the whole project as it moved along, and accolades to the level of comprehension for as early as that your exposure has been as short a time. The comprehension is pretty awesome, and so fabulous. Nice work.
Thank you. So, oh my gosh, so much is happening. It's last night, lots of stuff releasing out of the hip, and then this whole neglect piece. Yeah, it's up and center. I see it. I got up this morning, went to the gym. I'm really excited about that, and seeing just the neglect of my mind, especially the neglect of my body. That's so front and center. I just see, and wherever that got programmed, I'm not sure yet. And so when I was running this morning, and my body's like, thank you. I used to run a lot. I used to be an avid runner, but I hurt my patella femoral, so I kind of went to the wayside. But my body loves to work out, I realized. So yeah, and then I got to be in the breath, and it was all about, I am the mana that nourishes the soul, and I am the mana that nourishes the body. And that was so clear. And then the links and what's stored in the body and mind energy, on the right side. And it might be obviously this neglect. I think it's not only mine, it runs in the family system. So lots of tears last night at bedtime, and lots of tears coming back from the gym after I did some weights as well. So yeah, just being with what is and showing up. But yeah, thank you for the accolades, and thank you. I am committed to this truth, knowing the truth of God, and whatever is required, I am willing, bringing it to the masses.
Every mind, heart, being on the planet.
Mm-hmm.
That's the vision. And of course, that means that each of us is going to have to look at everything that any heart, mind, or being on the planet could bring up for us, and get the opportunity to work through it. So
yeah,
how awesome is that?
Yeah, it's very clear to me, as I said last night, it really is that it's holding it internal. If I see anything outside of myself that is not purity, it's internal work. That's
And of
really
course,
true.
you've never seen anything outside of yourself, so that's doubly true, isn't it?
It's totally true.
There's a visual that I do when I've got a whiteboard at the beginning of the Healing Through Relationships workshop, and I really didn't talk about it when we started into the Healing Through Relationships, but let's do it at this point. And so what I do without giving any explanation, I go up to the board and I draw a straight line across, down toward the bottom of the board, and then I draw a semicircle with a slightly flattened top. And then I draw two semicircles with slightly flattened tops inside of those.
Okay.
And I'll give part of it away at this point, but we'll stretch it out. But so you've got a visual of what I've got. Imagine that you're standing back looking at a mountain with a slightly flattened top and two train tunnels through it. So that's what you're looking at on the board. So I draw that on the board, and we got an audience of 100 people. I say, well, what do you see there? Somebody says a two-door train tunnel. Somebody says two mouse holes in a wall.
Yeah.
Somebody says, and somebody says, and there are 100 different explanations, and then I kind of tongue in cheek offer, well, actually, take a look at it, and you'll recognize what it really is. It's a scrub woman from behind. And of course, everybody gets a laugh out of that.
Mm-hmm.
And then I point out the fact is, it's just lines on the board. And, I don't think we can reinforce often enough because we've been taught so long that we see things with our eyes. We need to reinforce and reinforce and reinforce and reinforce that we've never seen anything with our eyes. Information has come in, but the structure, the meaning, the emotional trauma or content, the upset, the disturbance is all internal.
Yes.
And I can use the internal unresolved trauma to build pictures. And then I think my trauma is about those pictures. And of course, once again, that's the game of projection. And when I first started teaching, first time, when I used to do Course in Miracles in South Florida, and then in South Florida was a place where a lot of people from all over the States and Canada came and went back home. And so I would get phone calls, say, why don't you come and teach here? And so finally, after about 7 years of doing that in South Florida, I decided to start to travel. And as I traveled and started to take the work elsewhere, the whole comprehension of, well, let me say it differently. I have a different thought in my mind, but particularly when I go to work with a Course in Miracles group, which, in all the years I was traveling, I did hundreds and hundreds of times. I would always start out with my whiteboard, 4x8 whiteboard, and as large letters as I could write. And I'd walk into this Course in Miracles study group that would maybe going on for 2 years or 10 years or whatever. I'd write on the board in the largest letters I could, don't study A Course in Miracles. And people would be like, well, what do you mean don't study? That's where A Course in Miracles study group. I said, yeah, right. That's the problem. And then below that, I'd write, learn forgiveness. The Course isn't about studying the Course. This work isn't about learning a set of rules or even finding out anything about the truth of the way the world works. This work is about cleaning up the mind so that we can be the truth of the way the world works. And it's definitely a giant task. And when I first started traveling and teaching that workshop, that is now Healing Through Relationships, was called Healing Your Relationships, because I thought there was such a thing as a diseased relationship. It didn't take very long before I realized that there are no diseased relationship. Every relationship is a perfect creation and a perfect reflection of what it is that we each need to heal. So out of that came the principles of healing through relationships. And then further down the road, that's where the codependence stuff came in, as that started to build. So hope that makes sense for everybody.
For sure. And also when I was running, you know what I realized? It's a mind-body unit as I'm running, and I'm still, even though my body still delivers, so I'm going to say that. So I realized the mind's governing the body, and the spirit's governing the mind's governing the body, and the soul's governing the mind, and the spirit governs the soul. So I'm like, okay, I deny age. it's a construct. Age is, I realized that really clear. Age is a construct. It's not real. And the body just only falls in line with what the mind tells it. That was really clear today. So it'll be interesting to see what's going to get revealed, especially facing this neglect piece. This is old. It's old. It's old. And not honoring the temple. And being denial of honoring the temple. So yeah, we'll see what manifests through all of this. And it is all about forgiveness, facing it, and healing our own minds. That's it. Just showing up every day and facing all that is not, all that isn't denied to the truth. So that's a journey. Glad to be here.
Glad you are here. And under the title of Who Are You Blaming Today in the Healing Through Relationships workshop, the point I'd like to make is the human mind, when it's untended and unhealed, through the creative process of expressing emotionalized, dissociated content, turns its life over to the people it hates the most. And until we start to tend to our own minds and start to clean it up, and the so-called learning of the world has been based in that insanity, right down to including, as you mentioned, age. That literally, and if you haven't watched it, there are several different videos, but look on YouTube for Bruce Lipton. And one of the things that Bruce is showing as a cell biologist is that when you think a thought, that thought produces a molecule called a neuropeptide. The neuropeptide circulates in the structure and lands on a cell. When it lands on the cell, it inserts itself in the cell. He and I have a bit of a difference of opinion. He says the cell copies it. I don't think the cell copies it energetically. The thought, the mind energy, inserts itself. And if we were sitting inside of the cell watching that insertion take place, we would say, oh, look, here comes chemistry. When a neuropeptide lands on a cell, it appears inside the cell as chemistry. And if that chemistry is the chemistry of aging, disease, and suffering and death, then guess what you get to live with? And if you change your mind, you get to live with something else. So it's definitely a fun process to step up, step in, take responsibility, and change all of that.
And the thing
and
is,
go ahead.
Because we're a triune being. Like there's the threefold being: the spirit, the soul, and the man, the human. So most of us are letting the human run the show, with all the wounding and all the non-being mind energy of the carbon-based programming. That's what's running, and we live in it as though that is us. And when we can purify enough, and I'm starting to understand teaching the human part of me to have faith, to be in faith in the truth, and the soul being the chooser, and the heart and soul. This is where all the action happens. This is where we clean up our mind and holding it. And then when we're pure enough in those spaces, and that, we've all had experiences where, we've got intuition, or the higher mind is running, comes in, Ruka, and we can be in that space knowing the truth, that inner knowing, the now. So yeah, and I'm going to say sensing that now, which is really good. But it is being in the soul, and the soul's the chooser, the free will rests there.
One offer I'd make in that is that we're really not looking to heal the human. What we're looking to do is to eradicate the human. What the average person said when they say I, what they're pointing to is nothing but a construct generated by the mind based on many generations of false understanding and all the things they've been told about themselves and all the beliefs. And that's the self, or the human, that Yeshua said, in order for you being to live, you non-being mind, what the world calls the human self, literally has to die. It's not even a matter, there are some upgrades that are done to it along the way, but ultimately it's the eradication of that, the eradication of the AI aspect of the non-being mind, stepping into the truth of who we are, undoing those habitual patterns of, fault, failure, hopeless, helpless, and the cascade of painful feelings that erupt from that when it becomes active, and deleting that content. And in deleting it, it makes space for breath-based being called true human to show up.
Yeah. I wanted to
That's
ask,
exciting.
I wanted to do some mid-rash here, if you're willing.
Sure.
So, okay, so we talk about the breath, yes, and so if we didn't have a body and there is no breath, the mana would still exist. The mana is a life force that runs through. Or we could call it the vital force. So it isn't the breath that is that, but it is the carrier through breath. So tell me in the humanness that we are, and we use breath as the carrier for this higher energy, which I know is the Divine Mother, being that she came in with us through the breath. Now, tell me more on how you perceive that. What I'm saying.
My take is that we can't separate breath and being. That, if you go to at least the earliest Aramaic renditions that I've been able to find, what it says in the Creator breathed nafsha into Adamos, breathed the breath of life, the being, and we became a thinking, speaking being.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm not sure you can separate the breath from the being.
So once we leave the body, though, the breath ceases, but the essence is still there, right?
The essence of the breath is always present.
Yeah, so that's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
right in the human body, we're breathed into being, and then we bring animation into the being through the breath. The essence of who we are comes in through the breath. And when I leave,
Or it is the breath. The Aramaic doesn't distinguish us from the breath, would be my best understanding.
Yeah. And what I'm trying to wrap my head around, or wrap my knowingness around, because once this body ceases, breath ceases, the animation ceases, but the mana does not. And so that's why
breath continues.
Yeah. Well, does the mana continues, but I'm not operating it through breath.
Well, my take would be that we've got with in this language, when we language the word breath, we've probably got about 10% of what the actual meaning of the word is. And my best understanding at this point, if I had to make a statement about it, would be that what you're referring to as the mana is also the breath. It's also singular. It's the rest of it that we've had destroyed by the Greek and Latin and Old English interpretations.
So Terry's got his hand up. I'm curious to hear. And then
let's have a thought from Terry.
Just one thing before. So the mana is the all like that I can feel. It's a vital life force in all things, all experience, all of it. And so when we bring it in the breath, are you saying, as humans, and although this isn't the right word, but I'm going to say it for now, how we dumb down the energy and we're restricting it through only a small percentage into this physiology through breath? And is breath a portion of it that's filtering through the physiology of the human? Because it couldn't hold right now, can the physiology hold the I want to say the depth and also the volume of the truth of what that mana is? So it comes, I'm seeing it right now like a pipe, it has to come in, it might be all this volume, and then just like you said, you used it differently when you talked about a resistor, but it almost has to come in through a funnel so it can actually fit into the human. So is breath only a portion of the mana? That's just a thought. I don't know. So I'm just mid-rashing here.
Yeah, yeah.
Terry, you're up.
What's on your mind, Terry?
Hey guys,
Hey.
this is a great conversation.
You're cutting in and out, Terry.
Should be over the hill just a second. Things solidify for me at a different level. I took on the concept in physics that they call the field. So there's the field, or I call it God or allness or whatever. Everything, God is everything. So like that's going back to the basic premise. Either there is God or there isn't God. I say there is God, so then God is everything, all things. So all things emanate from the field, which is atoms, pre-molecular. The field is like, it's like this giant, I'll use another analogy, the holographic plate of the field here. And so then the umbilical cord comes up from the field, which could be called breath because it's all space and air and all that. And it's like this cord comes up out of the field, and then I'm expressed from the end, like from the end of that cord. It's like then Terry is expressed from that. I'm still connected to the field. I am part of the field. I'm not separate from it all. So then if the breath was used as an analogy for my umbilical cord, to where I'm definitely directly connected from my conscious being of self to the field. See, and then that breath is the pulsing back and forth between the field and my consciousness, and we're able to then universally share everything because we are all from the field, part of the field, of the field, and that allows for everything to be connected. So as the breath leaves the body, as I've witnessed, like for example with my mom, it left the body, it was just retracting and like moving back into the field. There was no separation. It was all one continuous flow of union. However, there was this beautiful process going on. And so when the breath withdraws from the quote body, it's just pulsing, it's kind of pulsing back and forth to the field. Now, I don't have any idea if any of that's true. It's just a beautiful image, and it kind of makes sense to me, and I haven't thought about that till you guys raised that question. How is the breath separate? Because the breath can't be separate because it's all God. So now I've got this little image that I can play with and build on. So thanks.
Cool. Let's try a different word for everything we're trying to represent here. How about if we use the word intelligence? So, and the Creator breathed intelligence into, and you have an intelligence and I have an intelligence. If we're expressing through a body, or what we call a body, then our intelligence is brought into form through language, through thought, et cetera, et cetera. If the intelligence is not encapsulated or captured by a body, and we're trying to separate things out here that probably don't belong separated. So if the intelligence is in or out of a body, what did Paul say? Whether in or out of the body, I knew not, for I saw things which I could not utter. So if we use the word intelligence to represent what we're trying to reach for with breath, with mana, with those words, would that one maybe give us a little bigger picture of, so if my intelligence exists, whether I'm expressing in or out of a body, is kind of irrelevant, except that I don't hang out here in manifestation if I'm not coming through what we call a body.
And I love
How's
what
that
Terry
fit in the
said.
midlash? Go for it.
I love what Terry said. It really gives that it is the field. The field itself is God, and that's a choice we all make. Is there a God or is there not a God? And of course, in my world, the truth resides in my heart, and it feels, yes, there is an essence, which is love to me. And so the field, and that's divine love, the truth of it, there is no separation. There is only the truth of love. The
Yep.
true. And humans, I feel humans to really dial that in and to know that, given how we were, I want to say, programmed, having the awareness of the truth of that can be difficult. And I loved what Terry said. The field itself is it. And then I love that we're like plugins, how I'm seeing like an extension cord from the field, and we're plugging into the illusion of reality through a vessel, of which that love comes in through breath. And breath and the intelligence, exactly what you're saying. We are the field expressing itself through a illusory reality we call the world. And we take our extension cord from the field, we create this reality, and that never changes the essence of who we are that came in through this. And then there's a deeper truth, or not deeper truth, more to it, because there's a soul which is individuated from the all-beingness. And it goes and has a multitude of experiences that are happening in the ever-present now, and many, many experiences. And that information is being uploaded and downloaded into the individuation as well as back into the allness. And then we have a vessel, which we call a body, in the illusion itself. And that field is generating the intelligence goes into the soul, and the intelligence goes into the body through breath.
And the field is intelligence, and intelligence is the field.
Yes.
It was Terry using the word field that stimulated my thought to bring the word intelligence. And
Yes.
we're trying to ferret something out that is singular in nature.
And the mind, yeah. And the mind, like knowing that, because I've had, like, even when with you, being with you and you doing the breath work, or especially, the sense of that being breathed by Ruka, and I've experienced that. And the breath stops, the super processor kicks in, and it is bringing healing and revealing the truth to the physiology. And then having the awareness to be able to, and what you said yesterday was so important, or last night, I think you said it, where the vitality level has to be at a place where it's, I want to say, more powerful than the resistance of the non-being mind. You worded it differently, but I loved how you worded it, and maybe you can come back to that. Because as we're going
Repeat
through,
it again.
remember, I think it was last night we talked about this, where the resistance, the willingness has to be stronger than the resistance for Ruka to come in and being able to do the cleaning. And I'm facing this right now with this neglect and on the right side of my body, and it's so old. And the resistance pattern that's locked into physiology is front and center. And I'm holding the willingness to trust into the truth that the essence within me, which is Ruka, even though there's so much resistance, this is lifetimes old, likely in my soul, but also in the family system, in the physiology. So I can feel my resistance not wanting to go there or denying going there. And yet my willingness is stronger so Ruka can do the cleaning. So and I guess that has to do with vitality level. If we're not at a vitality level and you want to use the word override, but that's not the right word. So this intelligence can come in and purify the physiology. Yeah.
And the intelligence rides the breath.
Yes.
Or is the breath. I don't know if they can be distinguished. when the breath came in, that's when we began to speak. That's when we began
Yeah.
to think. That's when we began to be able to consciously create.
I think intelligence, I sense intelligence is the breath, and it's, if we looked at it like a funnel, the vastness of what Terry's describing of the field itself, which is all knowing, all intelligence, and then we are, I want to say, bringing it into the human, where
Well,
that
yeah,
is,
there's well, if we look at it as the so-called body-mind unit as an instrument,
yes,
and that there's only one intelligence, one life, then obviously that intelligence is funneled down significantly to show up in a fly,
hmm,
or funneled down but not nearly as much to show up in a frog,
yeah,
funneled down but not nearly so much to show up in a wolf.
yeah,
And it's one intelligence expressing through all of life, one life.
yeah,
And when you look at the Harvard research that says in this time frame where 10,000 brain cells are firing inside of us, our own mind is another reducing valve that takes that down to 9 bits of data,
yes,
and 10,000 brain cells are firing. And behind it is life, is intelligence, is the field, is the whole enchilada.
yeah. And Andrea,
And,
yeah,
I'm not sure, one of the things the Course talks about, Course in Miracles talks about, is the truth can't be spoken in words.
hmm,
And we're looking to try to comprehend the truth, and we can speak about it, the word about meaning around the edges, but can we actually go to it? And that we can use words to describe the tools with which to produce the direct result of experiencing it. And then we try to teach our minds to find a way to talk about it.
yeah. And the exciting part, what's exciting is because we're mid-rashing about it. So that tells us the consciousness is opening to be able to move into the direct experience of what that is, even though we're trying to formulate it through language. So that's exciting.
Yeah, and you go from the flea to the fly. You go to the microbe, the flea, the fly, the frog, the fish, the wolf, the human, and then moving into another language that's been used for that is cosmic consciousness, where we can come to the direct experience of that mind and bring it into form.
Mm-hmm.
But it's always going to be reduced when it comes into form.
And I can just feel it right in my sacred heart. Yeah. I see Andrea had her hand up, so Andrea, you wanted to say something?
Yeah, I was just going to speak to the few experiences that I had when I was on journeys in different ways, and I went back to source. I laugh at that because I think I'm there. I really do, but my mind still doesn't, my human self doesn't quite grasp that. And anyhow, I went through this experience many times of going through
The whole exciting back there.
yeah, pagan.
Pagan, hi Pagan.
Hey.
Hi.
That's my 19-year-old.
Hey, they're both sitting in. Yay, Pagan, just hanging out. Nice to see you. Hi, Alex.
My heart's expanded having my beautiful children witnessed. Yeah.
What a gift.
Thank you. So spending time, very brief time, through what, I've called the primal light and sound fields. And when I was able to experience going from the micro of my own mind to the macro, merging with source, and it was so blissful. It was like all I could hear was my own voice saying, I'm home, and then descending back through the primal light and sound fields, and the sounds were out of this world. That's why the sound baths have become such a dedication for me, going through that space. And so what I'm speaking to from my experience is that I don't perceive that both the wisdom or the intelligence and the breath could be separate in what I've experienced, because they were one of the same. And the sounds, when I follow the sound current, it's a stream of unending wisdom that speaks through the frequency of the sound. And it's almost like my mind can take the vibration to, I'm not sure if octave is the right word for it, but basically shifting up or down through different vibrational wavelengths. And that's where free will seems to come in for me, is I get to choose what stream of thought, how I want to take it, whether I distort it or it passes through in its own original stream. So I don't have a lot of words to describe this because I've never tried to. But I just wanted to, I love this conversation and wanted to share that in my own journeys of experiences, there was no separation between the breath and the wisdom.
Oh, one. Just like the hot dog vendor, or the Zen master said to the hot dog vendor, right? Do you remember what the Zen master said? Said,
No.
make me one with everything.
Okay, that's good.
And here we are trying to separate it out.
Enlightenment jokes.
You know, it's like it's like, you know, we're trying to take this 8-foot 2x4 and put it in the 8 inches between our ears. It doesn't fit. So, you know, let's go to the experience of the presence of being and extend it to
Yes.
each other and see what comes next.
It's so funny because
Get-
my right brain is pulsing right here. Like, oh my gosh, right?
Mhm.
It's just
Cool. Boy, be with
Thank
that
you,
pulse.
Andrea.
That's opening. That's opening. That's the instrument correcting itself and coming into
Yes.
higher alignment. When that pulsing happens, that's a sweet place to be. Be with it and let it in.
So
I had it, you know, I shared a few weeks ago that I had this really powerful, I was doing a still point session. I had this pounding like somebody had a jackhammer in my hands and feet. And 2 mornings ago, I had that again. It was like jackhammering. Like what's resolving here? So
yeah,
that's awesome that's pulsing there.
it's really like the whole right hemisphere, this whole side, and right from where that, you know, I've had that, my neck is tilted, all that. It's all stored right here. So bring it on.
Hey,
Yeah.
go for it, Terry.
I also wanted to report that after yesterday's session, which I appreciate very, very much. Thank you guys again. This morning I was doing a breath session, and my lung and chest capacity, if I had to assign a number to it, was increased by at least 20%. And the restriction had loosened up that much.
Yay.
It's very noticeable about it, the ability to expand. And I know it's directly connected to all of it, especially to the bones, to the way that the rib bones were damaged and had been holding on, and it was like a movement, just an opening and an expansion there, which was really nice.
Awesome.
And then just after I shared earlier and was listening to you guys, there was a movement in the bone that connects from my collarbone to my shoulder and scapula, the side that took the full impact. and there was literally a movement, a sound, a little crack and a pop, and because right where that bone protrudes up slightly before it connects to right into the shoulder socket, right by, it was about an inch higher than the other side for a long time. But and I just kind of figured, well, that's just a permanent configuration of my bone structure now. But it just dropped about a good quarter to a half of an inch. Physically, it literally dropped with that cracking and popping sound. So
Nice.
that's something that's just really astonishing. Like I said, I'd given up on any movement there. Okay, we got something going on. It just fused back together in that particular position. But there's two pieces of evidence that are undeniable for my mind to absorb. Is the expansion of the lungs and the movement of the bone structure around the shoulder. So
Bringing the antenna back into alignment. Yay.
yeah, exactly.
Yeah, this conversation feels very important. I could feel it because it's my physiology's adjusting and stuff is happening. So be curious.
Well, you remember the idea of honoring truth, that when truth, and my definition for truth, if we try to put in language, would be what is actuality, that when we'll breathe and let it in, if there's anything in us that's out of alignment with that truth, it will restructure us, literally, physiologically. Because, of course, what we call physiology, there's nothing solid about it. It's just a movement of electrons, protons, neutrons into what we call structure. And when we allow that organizing factor of truth to come in, we're really willing to honor truth, it'll restructure everything right down to the bones. And you remember back several months ago, I shared that I'd had a still point session. Well, it's over a year ago now. And in that one, I was told that I was going to have to unlock and deal with what was locked in bone. So, Terry, it sounds like that's exactly what you're doing, the next level of that one. That's pretty awesome.
Oh, and also, today is my 40-year celebration day of no alcohol. So it's been 40 years without drinking any alcohol.
Congratulations,
Yay,
Terry. That's awesome.
congratulations. Wow.
What an accomplishment.
Yeah, and then there was a shift. There's all kinds of little signs, which are big signs to me. And a contract I thought I had lost and was gone by the wayside. It came back online this morning, and we reached a little agreement, and that moved forward. So I can't wait to look up what day it is in the Mayan. I use that Mayan magic calendar to see what.
I've got it right here. I've got the Mayan calendar. Let's have a look here. I'm just going to see what the Mayan is today.
Let's see, what did they say? Great minds think alike?
Yeah. Have you ever looked at the Mayan Magic's website that had Ian Ungold on it?
Tell me again. What's that again? Did you say?
Mayan Magics, MAJIX, MayanMagics.com. Ian Ungold, he has a fantastic story of when they discovered one of the ancient calendars, and as they stood it up, he had the intuitive notion to get a rubbing off of it, and very shortly after he got the rubbing, because that stone calendar had been laying down on the ground for so long, when it was exposed to the oxygen and began to disintegrate shortly after he did the rubbing. So the powerful story. He's got a great.
Okay, I'll have to look at that.
His videos are pretty awesome.
Yeah, and it gives you a good explanation of the 260 and the 360 wheels and how they interact, and also it gives you the day, what the day's tone is, and also you can get your birth tone. So there's my little.
So I'm
just. What you got?
Okay, so I looked it up. It's the Transformer today. That's the sun sign is the Transformer, and number 2. So today's day is 2 is duality. So it's mysterious as the question to be or not to be. Can't make this shit up.
That's my birth sign too.
Okay, here is the recognition of the separation of self from all else and the desire to be rejoined. Walking a balance while making choices of all kinds, light, dark, male, female, good, bad, yin, yang, is the energy of this number. Experiencing the differences between one and another is the use and purpose of the number energy. And so now I want to go to, that's number 226. Okay. 1 second. Oh, I think I made a boo-boo. I'm sorry. Let me just see 126. Oh, wrong number. Wrong number. Delete that. It's actually 9 is interesting. Obviously, I had to say that for a reason, but it's patience today. The energy of 9 is one of getting a better perspective of the bigger picture. Yeah, that feels true. With the energy of 9, plans or patterns begin to come into completion. With the energy of 9, patience and perseverance found in the bigger picture are strong, or there is a great suffering for the lack thereof. The completion of cycles of action is all important to the 9. So that feels okay. So now we got to go over. I haven't used this for a while. So the transformer, let me just find it. Okay, the transformer today. And it is cycle of life, death, and rebirth. Transformer persons achieve goals and emotional wealth. Transformer people can become highly respected businessmen. They have the ability to help others through any and all transitions with tranquility due to their spiritual strength and guidance. Communities often benefit from transformer discipline and organizational skills. They strengthen the life of pregnant women and guide them through the transitions of maternity. Establishing contact with the ancestors activate innate psychic abilities, gifts to be used as tools to assist others. Transformers can have the ability to send evil intentions telepathically. This is their undoing. From these acts, they lose power, easy fall into victim role, and begin to manipulate with a vengeance. A good day to tie all loose ends.
And breathe into those loose ends.
Yes, siree. Yes.
One of the other pieces of the puzzle, Terry, that I would like to add in here is when I briefly spoke with you and Ian yesterday, I just really got a sweetness from his voice that I don't know if it's a new level for him or what, but it was really awesome to hear his voice and chat with him yesterday along with you.
Was that before the session or after, or before a radio call or after?
It was before.
Okay.
Oh, no. I think it was after the radio show, I believe.
So this is important, what you just, thank you for sharing that. So important, because you know what's happening in the moment. Everything is created in the moment. So even in this moment right now, we're all sitting in this sacred circle, and our mind energy has produced this collective grouping, flower of life, and energetic patterning coming together. Outside of this moment is vibrating energy. And when we hold the frequency in the moment to choose the highest truth in the moment, when we each step out to our collective, our individual realities, we change the next present moment to its higher evolution. So if I heard that correctly, then with Terry doing his sitting there and being in surrender to release what was stored in the physiology and the mind energy that created it, it created the next opportunity where there was this beautiful connection and sweetness in his son's voice, and seeing the opportunity to come into a higher state of vibration. That's magic.
That was very sweet.
Yeah, beautiful. I see Andrea's hands up too.
I forgot about that. Yeah, when Terry, when you were sharing, a lot resonated up for me. That I actually forgot I don't celebrate anymore, but I can't even remember what date this month, but it's in February. That this is 26 years clean and sober.
Yay.
And yeah,
All
thank
right.
you.
Magic.
Congratulations.
I don't celebrate for so long now, but and then also Terry, I don't think that you were there with the codependence call, but what really opened up for me since then has been this deep awareness that in that space that I was seeking support and then also rejecting it. I have a lot of things happening right now. My car's in the shop, um, and my bathtub has been leaking for months, and my door doesn't work, and there's just like a lot of things happening. And as I was moving through my day, I was opening my mind more to there's actually support all around me. And what support do I feel open to allowing in? Because it's coming in a multitude of different ways. And some of the ways I don't feel comfortable with, but am also able to search, like to be with what is coming up as a block. And so without getting too much into it, just that this big awareness, I went on this big walk this morning before dropping my car off because my human self wants to panic, because I've just paid for this other course and this other course. And I actually really tapped myself out big time. And my credit card is loaded still from Christmas. And it's like my income dropped and my human self wants to go into panic. And that's where, I really opened myself up to support comes in so many different ways. And I could choose to go back to work before, this therapy is in place, or I could not. And I guess what I'm trying to say is that if, as I remain open to support coming in, that it may cost and it may not cost, and really working on allowing attachment and constructs of how these things have to happen. I have been able to really spend the morning in a connected way, whereas before it would be in a lot of like financial survival, panic. So yeah, those couple of things came up in.
Sounds like some big physiological healing.
Mhm, mhm.
Well, I'll hold a space that as you come into this new alignment, that also brings you into alignment with gateways opening for abundance to show up, and that all your needs are abundantly taken care of
Yeah.
with ease and grace.
That it's infinite supply, that by the bank of God, an infinite, an infinite supply. You ask, and I don't know if I told people, so I had told God I wanted a certain net worth. And God said to me, why are you asking for so little? And it was a lot, okay, in my world. And he said, why are you asking for so little? And then also said, and why are you asking for anything if I give you everything you need when you need it? And the infinite supply, it's the receiving, but the human self attaches to security, and like, oh my gosh, and money for many of us is is security, feel safe, but it's an illusion.
The big thing that was really coming through, that anything I think, so the ways in which it can come in, the ways in which I make abundance, any of those thoughts are creating limitations. So by just keeping my mind so open, even though these inner parts go into panic, but holding them at the same time, and then just allowing the thoughts that come through my mind to pass through like a cloud, and knowing that every thought is creating in every moment. And I truly could create this magical abundance and accept in a second. I just am still working through a lot of density to, be able to get to that place is coming.
Yeah.
And so I can just feel so clear that my job is to continue to release any thoughts that bring limitation or funnel energy. Like, it's abundant. There's no funnel for anything. If I can remain open 365 degrees in this antenna, I'm calling it in.
And you know what? So this is the great part. And I think of the book's name, Mary O'Malley. She wrote a book, and she was a very wise soul who said, what is in the way is the way. So so you get to face the mind energy that's keeping you in separation. That's what we get to do in every moment. And even yesterday, I mentioned slightly that this, the scale went up by 5 pounds, and I went into this weird, like, I didn't even recognize this energy. And I thought, that's odd. But I realized that energy's been with me a lot, like it's in there. And so that, just like yours having all these upsets, or, the car's in the garage and the door doesn't work and the bathtub's leaking, it's the energy, it's pointing you to go in and see the energy that resides there, the mind energy that is constricted. And that's what I noticed this morning. And it's all around neglect. And this is all new, and this neglect is because I started in neglect. It's a known space, so I just adopted that because that's what I got. And then, of course, I cleaned it up in some areas, but when it comes to my body, I didn't. That's not clean, this temple, so that's what's being shown to me now. So,
Cool.
yeah.
And for me, I really, go
Oh,
ahead.
I didn't do that. That just did that. That just came up. Okay. God's going, okay. I got it. Thank you.
Are you open to a suggestion, Andrea?
Of course.
The thing that's more important to keep open than your mind
Okay.
is your breath.
Hmm.
That's where the intelligence to change it all comes from. That's how the intelligence gets in. That's the transforming, that's the transmuting power.
Yeah, and
And
the other
because there
thing
are
is
so
my
many things we've
thoughts.
had. Go ahead.
My thoughts do also affect my breath. They really do.
Yes.
And I know ultimately my breath is affecting. And right now, yeah, to not go and panic, the thoughts felt a little more approachable.
And is
So
that
I
a
join you
thing?
in making a big space in your physiology for your breath to come in fully. And whatever thoughts are encountered, to just allow the breath to dissolve
Yeah.
all those thoughts of limitation.
Because the mind energy that's operating is still coming from the lower mind. If you think the thought's going to correct it, you're not in the right mind. Because what Michael talks about, and also the journey, is we're going to a space beyond thinking, right? It's not there, the answer. We're never going to figure it out with the mind, because the mind is what's got us there in the first place, or the thinking got us there in the first place. So when we can, and this is a mind hack, this is what the ego does. It's telling you got to stick with the thinking. And the solution isn't there. The solution is in the intelligence of the breath. Resting into her and let her clean up your mind. And she will bring the thoughts of the intuition and the higher mind to correct all that's what's being revealed in your reality around, the cleaning up of the abundance and deservability. I can feel lots of different energies there that are running. And so when we go in and use the breath as the tool for cleanup, it just comes in alignment. Yeah.
Yeah, thank you both. That makes a lot of sense.
Yeah.
The only
Well,
thing that's keeping the overwhelm and the irritation that wants to come up is breathing through it, for
Yeah.
sure.
you know,
Because every
and
time
let
my
the
kids
irritation
make
come
a
up.
noise or do anything, I'm like, and then it's like, okay, breathe.
Yeah. And like Michael said, let it come up. And the other thing, being with what is, that's what whatever's up now, because this is, I said to God the other day, I'm committed. I'm like this, and I will go the number of lifetimes it takes to return home to the oneness that I am, and cleaning up my own mind. And I'm not going to find the solutions anywhere outside of myself. And the intensity of the depth to go inwards, to face all that is not pure in me, and the anxiety and this even now with what's up, I can feel it. And I know it's an internal job. So I'm going inwards. And I just breathe through it. And then worksheets, of course, and all the tools that I went through that Michael's brought into this world, and Junie's support, to face all that is not, all that is in denial to the truth. And you guys are noticing I'm really toning that up. Around this, when every time I hear no, I just change it with deny. So this is bringing my soul in alignment to teach the human part of me. And my soul is aware now. My soul knows the truth of this higher being. And when I was running this morning, it was so clear. It was so clear. I am the mana that nourishes the soul. I am the mana that nourishes the body. It was, and I was just clipping along, knowing
from
that.
Heaven. And, manna from heaven.
I know. And then also too, age. I deny age. I could just see that running through me. Knew the whole truth of that. Like it's all smoke and mirrors, as Michael says.
Yay.
Yeah.
All right. Well, breathing with everybody. Terry, that's awesome to hear. And again, it was fabulous to speak to Ian yesterday. Holding a space for everybody. Appreciate you. Blessings. See you tomorrow.
Bye.